What's going on, everyone? It's your favorite founder and host, Jerlisa Juju Fontaine. I'm a proud product manager turned digital media entrepreneur and community builder with a passion for all things business, innovation, productivity, and of course, digital health. I'm on a life mission to create a world where people can live healthier and financially fulfilling lives, all whilst doing the work that they love. So, how does this podcast fit into that? Step into the world of the Very Necessary Decisions podcast, where I interview industry experts, thought leaders, and change makers on the very necessary decisions that they had to make for the sake of their accelerated business and career growth. We take deep dives into their innovative strategies, business models, and more. And don't worry, we aren't sticklers on this side. We make these conversations informative, yet fun and chill. Take a listen. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Very Necessary Decisions podcast. I know I always say this, but I'm really excited for you all to be tuning in. I really do feel like I bring like the best of the best. I think I bring very credible people to this podcast. And honestly speaking, my ultimate goal is every time you listen to an episode that you leave with a notes app or a notebook or whatever it is filled with information that you know that you can apply to your career, through your business, maybe wellness, maybe financial strategy, whatever it is, you're leaving with something, right? As all of us say on social media, I'm leaving here with something, you know what I'm saying? And I hope that you actually feel that way when you come to these episodes. So for some of you, this might be your very first episode with the Very Necessary Decisions podcast. And if it is the first time you're encountering this brand, I hope that this episode lets you know that you need to rewind and listen to episode 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, we're literally at episode number 5. And it's so cool. And it's so amazing that I get to share this moment with my friend, sister, mentor, Mrs. Yanique Williams. Now, first things first, Yanique is probably one of the most humblest people you will meet. Like, she has a lot to brag about and she doesn't brag enough. But I hope that this episode will be the moment and opportunity for her to brag a lot more while still making sure that she's informing you all on what you need to do when it comes to your career and entrepreneurship. So a lot of gems will be dropped. If let's talk about Yanique, are you ready for me?
We ready, Juju. Thank you so
Let's
much.
do it.
Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
having me and for the introduction. I'm super excited to be here today with all of you. We have so much to talk about, as Juju said, when it comes to career entrepreneurship, investing, and personal development. So, a little bit about me. My name is Yanique Williams. I'm a technologist, entrepreneur, and an investor. I've spent a number of years on Wall Street working in the industries of fintech, data privacy, cybersecurity, and struggled a little bit to find my way, but eventually found that path. And I'm excited to share that with you all because I know that it's difficult when it comes to kind of navigating your career. So we're going to talk about it. I'm also an entrepreneur. I started 2 companies, Young Ambitious One, which is a learning and career advancement company, helping you with everything to accelerate your career, from resumes to interview preparation and career coaching. We believe that everyone should have a career coach, the same way we have a doctor, lawyer, or therapist. We should have someone working with us throughout our career. And then I also have a business called Ambitious Global. So on the other side, if you also have a business, or you're looking to develop a startup or looking to scale and grow, we provide business advisory. So serving as that trusted advisor for you as you scale and grow your business. And then finally, I'm an angel investor. I invest in startups and really within the technology space, consumer products, but honestly, really focusing on founders who are diverse, women, and just helping us to grow and excel. As a founder myself, I know how important it is to have that backing and support. And it's not just capital, it's also advisory, it's also mentorship and guidance. And so we provide that at Ambitious Global. So that's a little bit about me. I'm excited to get started today and have our conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's get to
Girl,
it.
I'm ready. I'm ready. So, as you all heard from Yanique, she's a lot going on, right? What she didn't mention though is, yes, she mentioned about her career on Wall Street, but I do want to highlight the prominence of the companies that she's worked at, right? Like, she's been at your Deloitte, she's been at your EY, she's been at your EY, and she's also been involved in other startups in the cybersecurity space, right? And I want to mention that I think that it really shows like the fact that she has an array of skills that she's been able to apply not only in like these actual corporations in her job, but she's been able to take that and actually bring it to life through her own company. And that's a very big deal because a lot of you who are listening right now, you probably consider yourself to be a multi hyphenate where maybe you are working a 9 to 5, but you're also building a startup as well. And you're trying to figure out like, what is my brand for each of these things? Like, how do I successfully contribute to my job versus like at my company? What does that look like? And I think the cool thing about Yanique is her skills are her skills. And whether it's through a job, whether it's through her company or whatever it is, they just all translate really well. And I think that the same thing can happen for the rest of you all. So that's just that. I'll stop talking too much. Yanique, before we get into the serious stuff, sweetie, we're from the Bronx, baby. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So before we get into the serious stuff, my question to you would be like, what has the Bronx done for you? Like, for people like ourselves to have like grew up where we grew up at, right? And now we're kind of in this corporate space, startup space, tech space. Like these weren't even conversations that you're having with your friends in the hood at like 10, 13, 15, etc., right? It's like your dreams are more so like maybe I could be a doctor because your parents know what a doctor is, maybe a lawyer, maybe an engineer. And when we said engineer, we were talking about like software engineers. Like an engineer probably meant more like a mechanic or something of that sort, right? But you found a lane for yourself. So what has the Bronx done for you to kind of grow an ambition to at least explore what the world has to offer and find your lane?
Thank you so much, Juju. First of all, you talked about kind of just leveraging your career and skills in no matter what industry or place that you are in, right? Building sort of this toolkit that you could take with you throughout the process. And we're going to talk definitely more about that because I really want to stress on putting things into your toolkit to eventually grow and expand no matter where you are at. So let's circle back to that one. As far as the Bronx, yes, shout out to the Bronx. Grew up in the Bronx. It's been, honestly, I went to really good schools in the Bronx, and I think that was a big thing for me. Also, having friends that were super, super ambitious. When I was in high school, I was in advanced placement, and the school that I went to, it really provided those opportunities to excel and to grow and expand as a young person. So I feel like that really set the foundation for me because I really always sought those mentors, opportunities, and programs that could help me to advance my career and just myself as a young person. So I think that has been the biggest thing, right? Is no matter where you are from, seeking those opportunities, like not letting your location, your borough, your state, or even your country limit you as well.
Mm-hmm.
I really always sought those opportunities. And to be honest, a lot of people poured into me. And I think that that was the biggest key too, right? Is seeking the opportunities, but people also meeting you halfway and seeing that drive and ambition. That took me to another level because I felt like a lot of people saw, like, okay, this young girl is doing her thing. We want to pour into her. As far as technology, when I was in high school, I always knew I wanted to be a businesswoman. I was like,
Yep.
listen, I remember telling my aunt and my mother, I'm like, I want to be a businesswoman. I'm thinking I want to work on Wall Street. And I didn't know what that meant. I just felt
Mm-hmm.
like on Wall Street they had money, but I didn't know what that meant, right? I had an aunt who was an accountant, and I was like, okay, I like this corporate career type of thing because I really looked up to her.
Yeah.
When I got to college, long story short, I met a wonderful woman at the career services fair. I went to SUNY Albany, and she was an amazing Black woman, and she happened to be Caribbean as well. I'm from Jamaica, and she happened to be Caribbean as well, and she just really stood out to me. I
Yeah.
love the way she presented herself. She was just that boss woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me like technology is the future. And I told her, I'm really thinking about pursuing a degree in technology, but a lot of people don't know what that is.
Yeah.
She said technology is the future. If you do this, you'll have a future proof career. I had already really liked math. I really liked solving problems, thinking critically. And I feel like as a young person, that's the main thing you need to even pursue something like that. You don't need all these technical skills before pursuing a degree or major in something like that. You just have to be willing to put in the work, think critically, problem solve, and be willing to put yourself out there. So I don't want people to shy away from technology, cybersecurity, like these types of technical engineering, anything like that, careers or degrees, because it really is just applying yourself and trying and studying, to be honest. Like, I just want to be upfront with that, because sometimes people think you have to have a certain skill or something before doing it. No, you can learn as you go. So let me break that barrier right there.
Mm-hmm.
We can all be in tech, right? Tech is for us. And so I really decided to pursue tech after that and change my major to information technology with a minor in business administration, and took off from there. And so I would wrap it up in saying, starting out, as a young girl, seeking opportunities, getting into programs like SAT prep or math tutoring, different things that I just put myself in as a kid, right? And getting those opportunities, not always like leaving it up to my parents to figure it
Yep.
out. I put myself forward too, and that was just a part of how my personality was. And it really paved the way for me getting into college and then doing the same thing that I knew, putting myself forward,
Yes.
going to the career services fair, and then meeting this wonderful woman, and then deciding, okay, you know what, this is a sign. I'm going to
Yep.
pursue this career, and it's been a wonderful experience being in
Yeah.
tech, and I'm excited to talk more about what that is.
I think the most beautiful thing about what you said is because you naturally possess this trait of being curious, being scrappy, trying to figure out like what does the world have to offer me? What can I get from this world? I think the cool thing is you knew that that was something that you naturally possess, and other people want to possess those traits as well, but maybe it's not natural and it's not innate to them. And the cool thing is it actually brings us to this next conversation is you're able to kind of take who you are and put that into a business, and now you're helping this next generation of leaders and entrepreneurs and business professionals, tech professionals, basically kind of be similar, right? Where they can go out there and be curious. They can go out there and problem solve. They can go out there and be scrappy with the resources that Yao is giving them, right? Whether it's resources through the career coaching, resources through the workshops and events that you throw. But all in all, you're able to successfully translate everything in you into your business so that a lot more people can actually like grow and achieve what it is that they want through what you do. So that's how I would sum that up. If nobody else got anything from what she said, like that's how I would sum all of that up. And the reason why I think that's so important is because a lot of us know that we are entrepreneurial in spirit, but a lot of us don't know what to build. And I would always tell people, like, start with something that you're really good at, right? Like, you can go out there and search for all these different problems, but what problem do you experience in life? What do you think that you are pretty good at solving? Because the reality is, somebody else might have that same problem. The only difference between you and that person is they don't really have the skills to solve it, but you can, right? And you can basically, as people would say, productize yourself,
Hmm.
right? Where it's like, it doesn't have to be a one-to-one service for everything. You know how something can get done, you know how it can be achieved, and you create some kind of product that delivers a service without it just being you that has to do it on a
Yeah.
day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis. So we'll talk about how Yao does that. So let's get into that. So Yannick, my question to you is, I could talk about Yao all day because I've known about Yao since what, late 2018. But
Mhm.
Yao, you own it, it's your baby. What is the young ambitious one? What is that?
Yes, Juju, you summed that up so, so good. So, Young Ambitious One is a learning and career advancement platform. And what that means is we really focus on helping individuals, students, professionals, and executives to enhance from the upskilling of whatever industry or sector they're in. And upskilling just basically means different courses, workshops, accelerators, programs to help you continue growing in a specific industry or changing industries. And then from the career side, what we do is provide career advisors and career coaches that really work one on one with individuals to hear, what are you struggling with, right? Are you looking to move up and get promoted? Are you looking to switch jobs and get into a whole new industry? Or are you just lost in general? You just need someone to talk to about your career in general. We provide that. And the good thing, and the I would say the most unique thing, is we don't just provide any old career advisor. It's a career advisor that has experience in your industry or has recruiting experience in your industry. So you may be talking to a recruiter, an industry professional, or an actual career advisor. And we really flex that based on the need of our clients as well. We have about like a 95% success rate where clients, after working with us, within the next 6 months land a job. And that's a big deal, right? Like, our clients, they land jobs anywhere from ten to $50,000 plus more in salary. And so that's a huge thing. The reason why I created the company, really twofold, because I knew there were other young, ambitious ones like me, just like you said. And I wanted to create a community and a network and a hub for all of us ambitious people, and those who want to be ambitious and just, want to learn how to grow and how to develop themselves. I wanted to create a platform for us to expand and to excel. And so I created the network, started throwing events, and then started with the career advisory and the learning and development and workshops, etc. And it's been sort of a natural progression from there. One thing that has remained true is sort of the foundational core of like the community, right? Like having the realness, the authenticity. That's what really makes us different because we truly care about our clients. It's not transactional for us. We believe that we have to build that personal bond. Like if people feel really invested in, that's a whole different experience than just paying
Mhm.
for a resume or paying for a LinkedIn update. We invest in the person because they're investing in themselves by even paying for this service or speaking to
Yep.
an advisor. And then the second part is I want to close the wealth gap. So, a big thing, especially in diverse communities, is that we are struggling to, let's say, invest or save. And why is that? That is often because we need a higher salary in order to do that, right? We need a little bit of surplus after paying bills. So if we think about that, making more, getting a higher paying job, or entering the industries of tech, business careers, operations, accounting, tax, etc. These sort of high paying jobs, it's sort of an area we specialize in too. If you can make more, then you can save more. And then if you can
Mhm.
save more, then you can invest more. And that's our equation for building not just our clients, but building a whole next generation that can close the wealth gap. So
Yes.
that's really what we're doing. That's the mission and vision behind it, helping people and then also pursuing this opportunity that we have to close the wealth gap and be the generation to do
I love that.
that.
So
I love
I love
that.
that, especially because, well, one, on my end, I'm very fortunate to have like witnessed the work that you're doing and the success of it. I can definitely attest to the fact that I know people that have benefited from Yale. So once again, only bring incredible people to you all. But on top of that, Yanique, what I actually want to pick at is like, okay, so you do the career coaching, the resume services, and etc. Right now that we have an idea of the context behind your business, like help us directly understand. Like if I am somebody who feels like Yanique is solving a problem that I can see myself solving too, but how do I bring my business to life? And how do I make sure that this is something that can actually make money? I think the answer is obvious in terms of like how a company like Yao can generate revenue. But if you can go ahead and kind of give us like a walkthrough of how does a company like yours generate revenue? What is the business model behind something that is so career driven?
Yeah, so the business model is B2C and B2B. So B2C, where we're working directly with customers, as I mentioned, providing that career advisory. We have a software platform that we leverage and partner with called Rightsy, and they really power our career services. And so what that means is that we have a portal that we use. Clients communicate with their coaches, and they walk through the entire workflow end to end in our portal. So it's everything in one hub, one place, and that's why we absolutely love working with Rightsy. But it also provides that personalized feeling, right? You have a place where you can text your coach. You have a place where you can, upload your documents. You just have everything in one place. It keeps also the client organized. That's our B2C model where we're working directly with the client. In addition, clients can go on our website, they can download and pay for a resume template. They can pay for different toolkits and ebooks that we have. So that's pretty much B2C. And then B2B, we also work with colleges and universities on our learning side. And what we do from that standpoint is partner with, for example, CUNY colleges or SUNY colleges to provide these accelerator programs and workshops. One of the significant programs that we did is working with a few CUNY schools to help them with their entrepreneurial development. And so we helped them to implement sort of a 10-week program where we took students from beginning all the way to the end. They came into the program just having an idea, and by the end of the program, they were able to fully pitch like they were on the Shark Tank. And I mean, everyone was blown away. And so that's our B2B model, where we're working directly with businesses and schools to provide these learning experiences, in addition to people sometimes go through those experiences and they're like, I want to work directly on the B2C side as well. So that's our model. Very, very similar to other career services businesses as well. But our niche is that we're working both on the B2B side and the B2C.
If you don't mind me asking, right, was it B2C first or B2B first, or was it always just B2C to B?
That's a good question, Juju. It was actually B2B. So we were working with businesses and colleges and organizations at first, not for profit organizations, hosting workshops for large conferences. Let's say in the East Coast, we worked with NABA, National Black Accountants, did a lot of work for the Eastern Region Student Conference. That's like one of our biggest conferences that we've done. It's always been amazing. Like 800 women in one room, just awesome workshops. And then we noticed through that process of having these large conferences that people would always come up to, in the end, and they would talk to myself, my business partner, my team, and say things like, I want to really talk to someone about my career. I wish I could have one-on-one advice. And we would find ourselves as a team staying hours over to talk with
Yeah.
people and hear their stories. And I was like, looked at my business partner. I'm like, listen, and just really came back to the team and was like, listen, it feels like people want more. And if we could provide that individualized service, I think we could really impact directly even further. And so that's where the B2C came from as well.
I'm actually so happy you said that. I'm happy you appreciate the question, right? Because I think a lot of times people are hearing these terms like B2C, B2B, or B2C2B, or B2B2C, right? And it's like, what do these things mean? I think the reality is most times businesses are starting off as one versus the other until they realize that their business is in a space where it can cater to more. So let's say, for example, if you are a consumer first product, a lot of times you end up being B2C to B because a lot of businesses now want to understand how can they have access to the customers that you have been able to reach on your own through your efforts and your marketing. They want PC of that pie. But then there's another world where you have this opportunity to directly work with other business clients. And then you realize, wait a minute, whether it's their customers or people who are passionate about their brand, but now like you, they also feel like they can personally or individually get something from your brand or your business. And now you have to now think about what is a new way that we can cater to these individuals that now feel like we can have a relationship as well. How do we service them? So I think it's very important for everybody who's listening to have a clear understanding of, do you want to attract the customers first, the consumers first, or do you want to be in a space where you are servicing businesses first? Don't try to do them both at the same time because you'll find yourself being all over the place. But when you can be successful at one versus the other in the beginning, you're usually going to end up in a good space where you can now cater to both. So I think Yanique responded to that flawlessly. Did you want to add anything, Yanique?
Yes, I couldn't agree more on the startup advisory side. Like, I always advise startups and companies to do that, to start off with just one target market and just keep the business model very crisp and clear
Yeah.
and just one channel at first. It really helps to perfect and fine tune that, because once you master, let's say B2B, and you have your school contracts, for example, in our case, and that's reoccurring, and you build those relationships, it becomes a little bit easier to then launch the second side, right? Because you have the hub, you have the
Yeah.
connections, you have the customers. You're just now launching another product or service to service that client. So I think it's always important to think about the customer, the target market. What do they need? What does that customer who you're looking to support need? Where
Mm-hmm.
are they? Where can you find them? Service them, and then give them other products. Don't come at them with 5 products at one time. Start with one. Let them love that, and then be like, hey, I actually got 4 more for you over here, right? So that's how you do it, and that's the best way to scale. Slowly, but like slowly,
Sure.
having a big vision, but keeping it slow and steady.
You stole the show with that one. And I knew you would have the perfect like value add to what I said. So I'm always so grateful that like we have that balance where like, you introduce the topic, I can sum it up, but there's still always more. And I hope that you guys like really hone in on that because it's true. Like
Mhm.
there's different things that you can sell, but you might confuse people in terms of feel like there's just too much. Just it's like going to a restaurant, and even I'm like this. If I go to a restaurant and you have a 3-page menu, I don't know what to order.
I get confused. 2 pages is enough. Just keep it
It's
simple.
too
1
much.
page
You
is
have too
better.
much. I cannot handle that many options. I'm already an indecisive person, and you're making it a lot harder for me. And when you're trying to attract the customer, you don't want to ever make them feel like they need to be confused. You want things to be as clear as day. And I think Yanique really does that. So it makes me think about even going back to your conversation about doing resumes and preparing people for their next job, right? There's a lot going on in this market, and I have a very particular question for you about this market towards the end of the interview. But for now, I just want to know from you what should be in people's resumes so that they can stand out in this job market. Like, what should we be like making sure that we're spicing up when we're trying to be attractive?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So the job market is something, right? We've moved from an employee market where people are getting crazy salaries and just offers after offers to an employer market. And what that means is there are more people in the market than there are jobs, right?
Mhm.
So to stand out, based on your question, Juju, is really making sure that everything you note, bullet by bullet, really speaks to what you can do. And it shows not just the task, right? Not just I created PowerPoints and submitted summary reports. No, I created PowerPoints and summary reports that helped senior management to make decisions that impacted the business growth by 25%. Wow. Right? So we really have to get to what was done, what was the results, and the impact. That is going to help you to stand out amongst other candidates who may just be putting task
Yeah.
lists, right? You want to really talk about the results and the impact of what you've done, because now as a recruiter or a hiring manager reads your resume, they're reading it and saying, I need this person. Look at
Yeah.
what they can do, right? Look at the results and look at the impact. You don't want them to just be like, look at the task. That's the biggest difference that I've seen in hundreds of resumes that we get and clients that we help, is taking them from just task to impact and results, and that will
Yeah.
win every single time. In addition to showing leadership activities that you may be a part of, any boards, networks, organizations, and then also any certifications and courses that you may have taken as well. All of that helps to stand out 100%. But I would say literally in that linear, as I mentioned, that linear role is first the impact, results, the task, and then the leadership and the certifications. A lot of people put, oh, I'm going to get a certification, I'm going to get more certifications, but the resume is not
At
fixed,
least it makes
right?
sense.
So you got to do the first part, or do them simultaneously where you're cleaning up the resume.
Yes.
And that's what we really hone in on.
That was literally perfect. Now, for me, the hardest part, in my opinion, is just getting in the door. And the resume is the clear indicator of what's going to get you in the door when it comes to landing your first interview, right? So I think it's really amazing that you are helping people get through that very first step, which is creating a very fire resume that makes them attractive, that makes somebody pick it up and say, I need to know who this person is because they might be the one for the job. But then there's this next part, right? Which is I gotta have conversations with people. I have to sell them verbally, not just through my resume. They need to get to know me. So my next question to you is, now that you're helping people with the resume portion, helping them get that first call, what do we need to know in terms of how to, like, I guess, best approach interviews so that we can make it to the very end and actually get an offer?
Interview, it is literally after the resume, the selling factor. If your resume is good but you can't interview, it's a done deal, right? You have to be able to present yourself in a verbal way just as much as the written way that you presented forward. So what I would say with interviews, it was something that I also really had to fine tune as well throughout my career, and that just happened through practice of having multiple interviews. And so I said a keyword: practice. So an interview should actually never, you should never go into an interview and just be thinking about the answer. You should know all of the answers before you get there. And that is through practice. How do we do that? So, thinking about the common interview questions, right? Tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Have you ever been a leader, right? Have you worked with a team? Just typical questions like that. The answer has to be so strong. And what we train our clients on, literally one on one training them, as well as we also have workshops and webinars where we train clients on how to respond to these questions, is setting the stage for the interviewer. What does that mean? And so, what that means is that you're taking the question, you're repeating it back, you're fully answering it, and then you're giving them a little bit more, right? And what that means is, Juju, can you hear me? Okay, what that means is you're setting the stage for them. And so, as you set the stage, you are answering the question, and then you're doing exactly what I said with the resume. You're giving them the impact and the results. So, an example of this, like this: if an interviewer said to me, "Tell me about yourself." Let's say the role was a risk manager role. So, Yanique, tell me about yourself. You have a wonderful career where you've been in risk management, and I'm looking to understand, why are you the right candidate for this role? Awesome. Thank you so much, Juju. Thank you for that question. My name is Yanique Williams. I've spent a number of years in the risk management industry. I specialize in cybersecurity, fintech, and data privacy. As a risk manager, I've performed over 300 risk assessments, also guiding over 25 team members in the risk management space. I work directly with clients to deliver, assess, and to actually give them recommendations on how to manage risk. The way that we are able to deliver is to go through the risk management process and then help our clients to implement strategies to take them to the next level. So, assessing their risk, recommending how to fix that risk, and then actually implementing with them on so that they can actually mitigate that risk. And that is what I've done as a risk manager. I think that I'm the right candidate for the role because after 10 years, I've had nothing but successful clients. I am a people manager, empowering my team, and I really believe that I can bring those skills to your organization. Cut, right? So that's just a little quick on the spot summary, right? But you
Mhm.
want to give them the short and spicy. Why you? What did you do in your career? And you have to use that industry language, right? So they can hear, like, okay, she does risk assessments, she does identification of risk, she's doing mitigation,
Mhm.
recommendation. That's all risk language, y'all. But the whole point of me saying all this technical stuff is because now that interviewer knows that I know my stuff. It's not fluff. I know the word. I know the language, right? And that's the key.
And I think what's really cool is like you gave them a linear path for how to approach like each bullet in their resume per job, right? And what you always end with is making sure they realize that you need to like add a numerical value or quantify your impact, and that rule is not only applicable to your resume. That rule is very much so applicable to your conversation during your interview because it all needs to match. It all needs to make sense. If they see you addressing things in your resume and it's not being addressed in your interview, they have to wonder why. Why was it so important to be on your resume, but not important to be a part of this interview? Because the reality is, all they really want you to do, at least in your non case study or non project related interviews, is just tell me more about that thing. I already got the intro. What more can you tell me? And I think that the example that you gave, Yannick, was really good because it's a more flushed out explanation of what the resume says. And that is literally what you all need to do. Have a fire resume that details out the outcome of everything that you have contributed, but at the same time, be prepared to really be able to vocalize like your input, your impact, right? Say something that's not on the resume, like add to that conversation so that they really feel like, oh, I had this little question linger in the back of my head when I saw your resume, but you just answered it. You did it. Thank you. Your job is yours. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And you
Yeah.
know what's crazy, Juju? It's just even having the simplest thing that I tell clients is just be excited. Like, you saw the way I spoke, right? Like, just let them feel that you're excited to even be there, to talk to them. This is a new person that you're getting to know, right? This is an opportunity. This is another day on this amazing earth, right? That we have to take charge of our careers
Yes.
and our lives. So we should just be happy in general, right? And so just being in that interview, talking to this person, when you show that sort of positivity and enthusiasm, I'm telling you, it stands out. It stands out
Absolutely.
versus the monotone. Hi, my name is Yanique. I'm a risk manager. Um, it's two different experiences for that person. So just remember, like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Even if that person is a C-suite executive, so what? They're just a person like you, right? So don't get intimidated by anybody, because you are just as good, and you are just a little bit earlier in your career. You will be at that level, right? So look at them as an equal and go out there and win.
That was perfect. And I do want to also add, right? It's like there's the interview, there's correction, there's the resume, there's the interview, and then there's landing the job. And we're not going to go in depth about like the whole first 90 days, first 60 days, et cetera, et cetera. But what I do want to highlight that you kind of mentioned earlier is the fact that don't think that this stops after you get the job. This piece about having a career coach is so important because when you land that job, you really do want to think about like, what do my next steps look like in terms of not only performing well in that role, but how do I build a professional brand around myself? How do I attract new opportunities? How do I get promoted? And the reality is, if you want to keep promoting into good health, you go and see your PCP and your doctor, right? If you want to keep promoting into wealth, you go see your financial advisor, right? But if you want to get promoted in this real world and get that money up, you need a career coach who's going to kind of be by your side, hear you basically vent about what's going on in your line of work, and they're going to kind of paint a picture for you in terms of what you need to do for you to reach this end goal that you told them as a career coach is what you want. So I just said that, but Yanique, is anything else you want to add about how important it is for a career coach to be in your life to guide you? Feel free to plug in.
You said it so good, Juju. You hit the nail on the head. It's literally that, right? It's not just landing the role. It's not just getting the job, and now we got the highest salary and we good. That continuous, like, we have a saying at Young Ambitious One, we say remain ambitious. And that's our motto at the company.
Period.
Remain ambitious, trust the process. And what that really means is that at every point you should be thinking about the
Period. Poo.
next step. What do we do? What do we encourage? Every single year to 6 months, you need to be reassessing, does this work for me? Is there something else I want to learn? Is there something else I want to do? Right? Do I want to move to a new role? Do I want to level up? It's important to reassess every 6 months to a year. And that's how you find yourself, let's say 3 years out, you're like, dang, look at how far I've come, right? Versus just kind of coasting along. And a career advisor, what our career advisors do is encourage and help you on that process. So help you with that planning, help you with that, career guidance. What does it look like to move up in accounting, or to move up as a nurse, or as a teacher? Like, what are the opportunities? And we cover all industries. Though we really focus on business and tech, we do help clients in every industry. And so I think the beautiful thing is every industry has a path to level up. Even entrepreneurship, right, has a path to level up. And so working with a coach and someone who's either experienced it before, hiring in that section or recruiting in that section, it really is a big game changer. And we really find that clients excel when they have someone to talk to about this. What happens after college when you're not at the career services? You can't just walk over to career services anymore. Who is with you? That's what we're doing, and we got you.
No, that was so fire. And like I said, I have no ad, right? Like, I feel like the lineage is there. The resume, the interview, and the career coaching. Those are the three, like, that's the triangle, the trifecta of things that you need to continuously excel in your career. And I think it's really cool that businesses like Young Ambitious One are able to cater and solve those needs for people who are really trying to like climb the corporate ladder, be entrepreneurs, and just really flourish and succeed in life. So I'm grateful to have someone like Yanique in my life who I can see building things that are making extravagant impact, so that I continuously feel inspired, so that I can keep making my impact in my own way. And I do wish that on all of you. I wish that you can find somebody like the Yaniques of the world that you have a lot closer to you, that are more accessible to you, so you can continuously fuel yourself and stay motivated to stay on your path. Now, that's me as entrepreneur Juju, right? And I want to talk about, like, people like Yanique. Like, she's not only someone who works a 9 to 5 and has her own company, she's also a venture investor, right? Like, she's someone who, she's at all paths. Like, she's done the job stuff, she's doing the job stuff. She's built a company and it's working for her. It's making money. It's making impact on people. It's doing what it needs to do. And now she's able to take her experience in the world of having a job, in the world of being an entrepreneur. And now she's making a statement and saying, I want to also invest in other people who want to make impact in this world. So Yanique, explain to us, like, what does it mean to be a venture investor? Because you hear all these things about private equity and VC and angel. It's like, what is that? What's a venture investor?
Yes, let's get into it. So a venture investor basically can invest in any type of ventures. It could be an event that they invest in, a conference that they're supporting or collaborating with, or directly investing in startups. Myself, I'm also an angel investor. So what that means is an individual putting their own money and time up to help a founder, and you get equities and shares in return. And then a venture capitalist is someone who is investing on behalf of a firm where they have other people's money. So maybe, it can be organizations, it can be different businesses, and it can be high net worth individuals that they're investing on behalf of. So that's sort of the three sort of tiers. I would call out, and then private equity is just more on the private side, of providing funds and investments as well. So as a venture investor, I kind of like to keep it broad because then that lets me just tap in all industries and sectors, right? What I do is really look for founders who are doing amazing work and just like authentically it feels good. And it is about the business model, it is about the mission as well. But I'm more focused on the founder and their passion for the mission. Why that mission and why that founder? Than the business model. Because if you have a very dedicated person and the mission is strong, like they're really impacting the world, they're gonna put their best foot forward, right? They're going to, whatever you tell them, develop a better business model, fine tune this, fix that. And you kind of just see the passion, and the business longevity in those founders who really, really care about what they're doing, and the mission is big enough, as well. In addition to that, I have invested in a few startups, and I mentioned one earlier, which is powering our business, our software side of the house, which is RightC. And RightC is a amazing AI career advancement tool that helps people to land jobs. They provide managed services of helping people to with resumes, interview preparation as well. But they really are a software company that provides the back end support to provide this amazing career services, and they do that for several organizations and job boards as well. And so Rightsy is just an amazing company, and I decided to invest in them because my awesome friend and founder of the company, he just was so passionate about the business and was really doing amazing work in the career space. And I'm just like, there's so much synergies. Like, what help do you need? Let's get this done. And the company is truly growing and doing amazing, amazing stuff. I'm also a senior executive partner at the Impact, which is an impact investment fund. And what we do is we really look to support businesses, brands, and organizations who are creating positive change. What does that mean? And based on your business, if your business is like a social enterprise or it has a really impactful mission behind it to help the community, the world, both locally and globally, we provide those time, resources, and money to help you advance. And so it's been a wonderful experience being a part of the Impact as well, because we're really focused on helping the business as well as the entrepreneur, but all for the greater good of the
Yeah.
world. And so that's the global impact that we're looking to have. So shout out to the team at the Impact as well. I'm just like, just the amazing work that we're doing. It just warms my heart, and so much more for you guys to see coming up very, very soon. But all of that is sort of encompasses into what we're doing at Ambitious Global, is this providing founders and entrepreneurs and businesses with advisory connection to capital, right? One thing I found is that I am very connected to a lot of funds and individuals that are looking to invest in startups, both angels and venture capitalists. And so I thought it would be good to bridge that gap, right?
Yeah.
To really bridge that gap and provide those connections. A lot of it is who you know, And so we have to break those barriers. We need more people of color in the rooms to bring in other founders of colors and that other founders of color. And so that's what I'm doing. It's like, listen, you got the bag, you got the bag. I got some founders that you need to talk to, right? Obviously, making sure that what they're doing is amazing, great, and it makes sense for them. Not everyone should be getting venture capital funding. Not
Yeah.
everyone needs to take outside funding. Some people can just bootstrap. And what that means is you take your revenue, you reinvest it, and you keep going. That makes more sense for almost maybe 90% of founders. Some founders who are building like tech companies that are large scale and can really like, shoot off and become a unicorn and raise millions and billions, they make sense to get venture funding because they're scaling so quickly. But don't take on funding before you need it because you have to provide results. You have to show
Mm-hmm.
impact ASAP. So I always say take your time before you
Yeah.
get funding and investment. Get advisory, get support first, and then think about if you need outside funding after. So that's my take.
No, that was very fire. And well, a couple of things.
Mhm.
One, you kind of like ended up answering a question I would have had anyway, which is like, how do you decide who you want to invest in, right? You talked a lot about like the mission and the vision and the current impact that they already have and etc. So I don't even have to ask again. Like you let us know, like, hey, listen, I'm Yanique Williams, and if you don't do these things well, I'm probably not going to invest in you, and somebody else might not either. So make sure you at least have those things so that somebody can see themselves wanting to be a part of your business, whether it's through monetary support or advisement support.
Yes.
So I think that's really cool. But then there's this other part about you operating global I always mess up the name, Young
Ambitious
Ambitious
Global.
Global, excuse me. And it's like, how did you decide that you should be the person who's going to be this middleman between like finding these businesses and finding people who want to actually give capital to those businesses? How did you know you were the person to do that?
Yeah, so it honestly is a process. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that if I didn't go on my process and trust my process, I wouldn't know that that was even a thing that I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I have always been a business advisor. Most of my career on Wall Street has been advising large companies on how to enhance, on how to expand, and how to just grow. That's been my career, as well as assessing risk. What is the risk of this business, both from a cyber side and just in general? Like, what is an operational risk that you may be
Yeah.
facing to get to the next level? And what I realized is that that same sort of support that I was providing previously when I was working in the consulting industry, it's the exact same things that other businesses need or startups need. They need to
Mm-hmm.
talk about how they're going to scale. They need to think about what are the potential risks that they need to think about, right? A big thing is data privacy risk, right? If you're handling data for your clients or your application processes data, you have to be very careful about that. So I realized that the same sort of thing that the big companies and big banks and big tech companies and just large organizations needed or were struggling with is the same thing that smaller businesses needed too. And so I thought it would be awesome to take those amazing skills and provide that advisory as well.
Yeah.
Just like Young Ambitious One, we have other advisors on the platform that specialize in different areas, whether that's financial development, accounting, tax, overall business advisory, overall enhancing your business through strategy, team building. So not just me, right? What I am very big on is building a platform that
Yeah.
other people can stand on. And I kind of take the back seat. So I do really play a backseat role kind of behind the scenes because I love just building the technology and building the hub and the community and then putting other people in place to win.
Yeah.
That's how I feel the group wins. That's how I feel everyone wins. And I'm really, really big on that because now it's not just my success. That's fine. But I want other people to succeed. I want to rise together, lift
Yeah.
as we climb. That's been my big thing. That's a NABA, one of NABA missions, National Black Accountant missions. But lifting as we climb. So that's where the business advisory comes from, is putting other people on where they can advise these amazing businesses as well, and then bridging the gap like you asked. Okay, yes, businesses have the advice, and then what if they need capital? What do? So I started creating those relationships with banks, who support startups and small businesses who want to provide credit and loans to banks. That's one option. And then also, I got into the venture capital industry and saw that they need people who can connect them with amazing founders, and said, okay, that's another form of capital that people need.
Yes.
And then connected with impact funds and just different businesses that want to connect with amazing founders and individuals building great things. And I thought, why not have a platform that does this? So it's
Yeah.
not just your girl, but on the platform, you can apply. Literally, you can go to Ambitious Global today and apply for capital. And we will look at your application and see who can we connect you with based on our referrals.
Amazing. And it actually makes me think a lot too about like how anybody who's listening that has some level of certainty that they want to be an angel investor or a venture investor, period, like they can hear themselves in your journey and say, okay, maybe I should probably pursue this. But I guess my even more direct question to you now, more of a source of inspiration is my name is Brittany. And I'm listening to this interview, and everything Yanique is saying, I see myself in that journey. And I think that angel investing is a calling for me. And I've heard of it, I've thought about it, but like I have imposter syndrome. I feel like I don't really see people like me, really doing this. Like, what words of inspiration do you have for a Brittany of the world who says, I know I can do angel investing, but I feel insecure about it?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So, as we said, angel investing is putting up your own time or your own money to invest in other businesses and ventures. I think the biggest thing is just knowing that you can do it. Like, nothing is too good for you. You are great. And I always have to even remind myself that, like, I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. So, on a daily basis, I'm watching my motivational videos. Like, I'm big on YouTube motivation. That's my thing, YouTube University. And just like listening to my motivational videos, keeping myself in that positive mindset, but really understanding that you can do this. We need more
Mhm.
people in these industries. We need more people of color and diverse people in these industries. And I think that it's important to know that there is space for you,
Mhm.
right? It's not too saturated, it's not too overwhelming. Like, you can do this, but obviously it is putting in that work. It is learning about the industry. It is at first having a skill as to what you're going to advise people on, right? That's why I always say build your skill, right? Is it accounting? Is it tax? Is it business advisory? Is it career advisory? Like, what's your skill? And then you
Mhm.
provide that to others. And that's how you can provide support to small businesses and startups, because you have something that you specialize in, right? And also, you can provide just money as well. But I would say the skills is great too, because you're bringing not just capital, but you're bringing smart capital. And that's what they
Yeah.
call smart capital, means that you're going to provide advice with the money. And it's possible for anybody to do this. But as an angel, there are some limitations and things that you may need in first. For example, to be an accredited angel investor, you have to make a certain amount of money, and so it's good to make sure you understand those regulations and rules as well. But that's when it is accredited. Not all companies require accredited angel investing. Some take all angels, or family, friends, and associate checks. So it just really depends on the company you're working with. You make sure, or the startup you're working with, make sure they tell you what type of angel they're looking for. But I would say that the barriers are broken, and now we just have to cross them, right? Like, it's okay. You got this. Trust the process and literally
Mhm.
go out there and get it. Like, don't hold yourself back. Too many times we're in our head, and then we become anxious, and then we're overwhelmed, and then we're depressed that we didn't do something. So let's take away all that overthinking and go out there and get it, because this is for you. Like, these opportunities are here for you.
But honestly, I'm Brittany. I felt that. Brittany, if you're out there, I know I made you an example. I made it up, but if there is a Brittany out there, I felt that for you. So I hope you felt that. And Yanique, you're absolutely right. I think that is all
Mhm.
the inspiration that someone needs is to know that, like, nothing is beyond you, right? If you see yourself doing it, ignore the insecurities, ignore the thoughts of imposter syndrome. This is something that can be achievable. You just have to do the work to get it. It's easier for some, it's harder for some, depending on proximity and resources, etc. But if you make it a goal that it is what you want, it will become your reality, whether it's today, tomorrow, next year. And some of us have to wait 5 more years for things to come to fruition. But at least whenever you get it, you know that you got what it is that you wanted. So phenomenal, bodied. We're getting towards the end, and I hate having to get towards the end. But once again, people like Yanique are busy. They gotta go at some point. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get to an end. But I guess my final question to you, Yanique, before we even get into my little flash round is, as we all know, AI is extremely popular right now. People are using it as consumers, right? AI used to only be accessible in terms of like businesses, large corporations who are using this for internal efficiency. Now people are engaging with generative AI, to be specific, for more like day-to-day responsibilities and activities. So my question to you would be, not even about you and Meow, but like, how can people who are like career pivoting or trying to climb the corporate ladder, how can they use AI to make their lives easier right now?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So AI, hot topic, and a lot happening in the space. I think the cool thing with tech and me just being in tech is like every 2 to 3 years, there's just like a thing in tech. And it's just like the buzz, the buzz, the buzzword. Like, y'all know before it was cryptocurrency, and then it was NFTs, and then it was, all these different things, and now it's AI. But out of all of those, AI is definitely here to stay. AI has been used in so many things already that you may not even know. Algorithms, right? A lot of the applications that you're using, let's say going on shopping websites and they're suggesting things to you based on what you viewed already, right? They're collecting this data, putting it through a model and suggesting things back. So you're already interacting with AI, but you don't even know.
Yep.
But now the more dominant AI, where you now can have direct interaction, right? Is like a chat GPT or asking, different AI tools questions. I think the biggest thing about AI, I always say, is that no matter what happens from an artificial intelligence perspective, we're gonna need human intelligence. So you guys can just take a breath. They're not going to take us over. AI is not taking away everything. But what it is going to do is become our partner. And what that means is that as a person, you have to continue developing, continue growing, and then leverage AI rather than be afraid of it. Leveraging AI looks like putting in questions you have into ChatGPT, same way you leverage Google or you go to YouTube University. Use AI as one of the third partners, let's say,
Yep.
that you're working with. Use AI to ask those questions. Use AI to get suggestions. You can ask ChatGPT, I'm doing such and such career. I'm an executive assistant. I want to move to be eventually become a manager. Help me with a plan. Or I'm looking to research more about careers in accounting. How can I pursue a major and then get a job in accounting? You can actually ask ChatGPT and different AI tools these types of questions. So you should be leveraging AI as a partner with you in your career as well. But I also said you need the human side too,
Yeah.
which is where we come into play.
Yep.
We can provide that human interaction in addition to what AI may be telling you, having those human people and people who've been in the industry and specialists talk to you as well. So I think use both, right? And then from the side of just developing and growing as a person, I have this equation that I think is very critical. My team says like human intelligence. I say natural intelligence as well. So human intelligence slash natural intelligence plus AI. That's
Yep.
what we say. Partner. So as you continue to grow and develop your human intelligence, your natural intelligence, HINI, you then mix it with the AI. That takes you to the next level because
Yep.
you have a partner that is digital technology that can help you come up with more creative solutions, or you can tell AI, help me create 10 captions for this video I want to post, right? This is helping you to speed up. So
Yes.
if we don't incorporate AI and everyone else's, we can get left behind. And I don't want that for us.
Nope.
So we got to mix the HI, human intelligence, natural intelligence, with the artificial intelligence. And that's how we're going to get ahead. We cannot be left behind in this equation. In addition, the last piece I'll say is Same way I talked about cybersecurity, data privacy, IT, this AI type of sector, we need to be learning about it. We don't just want to be consumers of AI, we want to be creators. And
Yeah.
so we should be on the side of taking courses in AI, free courses or paid, minoring or majoring in artificial intelligence. We have to become those product developers. We have to become the people putting out tools and businesses that have AI a part of it, because
Mm-hmm.
we need to create. Why? Because if we are creating products that have AI and we are focusing on our demographic as well, incorporating our demographic as well, then we are sort of building a well-rounded AI, a well-rounded machine. Versus if we leave everyone else to create it, it may
Yeah.
not have us included, right? It may not think about how we would, what do we need, or how we would suggest or ask something of AI. But if we're building the product, we can make sure that communities of color and diverse communities are represented because we have that seat at the table.
First of all, I'm impressed by it all, but I'm most impressed by the breakdown of the equation, right? It's like this human intelligence, natural intelligence, artificial intelligence, right? Recognizing that all of these things coincide with each other in order for us to produce the best results of whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish in this world, whether it's as an individual, as a small business, or a large corporation, Fortune 500. AI, especially generative AI, has a use case for everybody at every level, and we don't need to fear it, because I know people love fear mongering, right? It's like, no, like you don't have to fear it. You do have to find a way to build a relationship with it so that people who are employing you know that you know how to have a relationship with it, because that's what I think they're looking for, right? It's a matter of, now that you know this thing exists, can you walk me through how you would use it to assist you in being more productive at your job? Because the reality is companies want your time. They want as much of your time as possible for as little of a cost, right? And if you can somehow make yourself more productive in your work to meet the standard of your company, but to an extent still find a tool to kind of give you some time back, this is the way to do it. So you guys have to like really pay attention to these conversations in AI. And Yanique, you broke that down perfectly. So because you did that, I can now almost relieve you. I just have these 3 quick questions for my flash round. Is that okay?
That sounds good.
All right, I'll start off with a more serious one. Just a short answer because you basically talked about it earlier. But to your point, we are no longer in the candidates market, right? The employees market where, getting access to jobs is a lot more, I guess, like prevalent. There's more access, there's more opportunities, and hopefully you even get better pay. But now what we are in instead is an employer's market where they're not shopping around the way they used to. They're also not giving the sexy packages that they once gave us back in 2022. I was one of the beneficiaries of those who pivoted into tech at the right time where they were giving out those fancy packages. And I can tell you guys right now, everybody keeps asking me if I'm going back to work. And I really want to say yes, and I should start applying soon, but like, it's just not sexy right now. And it's like, do I need to go back this year? I don't know. Let's see what HuCapital does for me, right? But my question to you, Yanique, is in light of the fact that this is indeed an employer market, I think that, to your point, interview prep, resume prep, etc., is very important. What else on top of that can we do to like really get ourselves seen? Because people feel like they're making quality resumes, but they're just not being seen. Is relationships the additional factor? What is it?
You hit the nail on the head. So it is going to be a lot on relationships. So now you have the awesome resume, you have the amazing interview skills, and you have your coach that's helping guide you through the process and talk through your career. You have to build relationships. So if you have a top 10 list of companies that you are interested in, adding the recruiters from those companies, right? Networking with recruiters on LinkedIn from those companies, going to recruiting events or networking events that that company may be having, looking on Eventbrite or your local event website on, different events that are happening from corporate companies, going and networking with people there. Also reaching out to friends that may work at those companies and asking literally, would you refer me? Right? Don't just telling people to refer you because they gotta want to refer you. Let me just put it out
Absolutely.
there. But asking people to refer you, and then when you get that referral, we're seeing that is helping to speed things up for people. But obviously, that's also limited too, right? So I would really, really say networking on LinkedIn, making sure your LinkedIn is up to date, making sure it really represents you well. And then also building those relationships with your friends or colleagues or people you know who may work at these companies. And then two, going in person live or virtual events. And then adding the people from that event and saying, had a good time. It was awesome meeting you. I'm interested in this role. I wanted to get your view, right? Don't just
Yes.
be like, oh, refer me. Ask them for their view, right? Because you want to keep it soft, you want to keep it subtle, not too pushy. And then you go and you make the direct ask.
That was fire. All right, now for the flash round, two
Yes,
quick
let's
questions. Are you
do it.
ready?
Let's do
Let's
it.
wrap this up. First question, nostalgia. What was your favorite show growing up?
My favorite show growing up. Jeez, Juju, why you did this to me? My favorite show growing up. Honestly, I really liked Steve Harvey's show. Like it was funny and just like a classic laugh. I think it was good just kind of seeing the high school students and I just liked it. It was just like a lighthearted, funny show. But I
Yep.
must say, number one is Martin. Okay,
There.
Martin. I just love Martin. I love to laugh. And so I love comedy. I love Martin. Those are my shows.
That was fire. Ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay. This could be anything, right? But all in all, whether it's a dessert, a show, a thing, an object, or whatever it is, what is your guilty pleasure? Something that like nobody really knows, maybe just your immediate friends, but this is like my thing that I just indulge in and like it's for me. It's for me.
Movies.
What is it?
Movies. I love to watch movies. Now I don't get to watch as much as I would like to now because I'm so busy. But I really love movies. Like if I have downtime, I want to watch a movie. And I really love thrillers and suspense. So yes, I love comedy, but thrillers and suspense, like I'm trying to figure out what is happening throughout the whole show. And it just keeps me on my edge. I think that goes back to my critical thinking, as I mentioned as a
Yes.
child. Growing up, always kind of being curious. My dad, my family, my mentors, they're always like, Yanique, you're always asking why. You're
Yep.
always asking the question. And that's why I love movies because I'm thinking about the why. That's why I created my business because I've always had the why, right? Why
Yes.
people need help in the forefront. Reason I went into tech because I felt like this is the future, right? The
Yes.
why. I want to be a part of the why the world will grow, right?
Yep.
Why the world will enhance. So always thinking the why. Why are we
Yes.
doing this? And then thinking about my why. Why am I doing this? And so that's to sum it all up. A little bit about me and my love for movies, but tying it back in, right? I would encourage everyone on the call to think about their why, right? Why are you doing what you're doing from a
Yeah.
career standpoint? What do you want to do next? How do you plan on doing it? And just going out and taking the first step. You don't need to know everything.
You don't.
You just need to take the next right step. And that's how you can get over the imposter syndrome or not believing in yourself or feeling scared. Just take the next right step.
And
And
that's
I would
it.
leave everyone with the last thing, Juju, is trust your process. I said that earlier. Remain ambitious, right? You have what it takes. Like, I really
Absolutely.
want you to know that. Like, it literally is, you could start from the bottom and rise to the top and not just be at the top by yourself. You can bring everyone along with you. Yes,
Absolutely.
you can. Right? Let's do away with the whole lonely at the top. Let's stop it. Let's
Nah.
bring people with us.
Lit at the top.
Yes, lit at the top. I
Yeah,
like
that was everything, and I'm so
Yes.
glad you said that. And once again, y'all, I do have to let Yanique go ahead and redeem herself and have her own time and enjoy her weekend. She needs to rest, do her own thing. But Yanique, I do want to say thank you so much for giving me your time. Thank you so much for this fruitful interview. I feel like for anybody who's listening, who is doing the 9 to 5, who is doing the entrepreneurship, who is doing the investor route, this interview is literally all encompassing for you. So thank you all so much for listening. Thank you so much, Yanique, and everybody. Tune in for the next episode, including you, Yanique. Listen to the next episode too, girl.
Girl, you got me. I've been hooked to episodes. Thank you so
I
much.
love it. Thank you,
Very
everyone.
necessary decisions. Go out there and make them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.